This trip was probably the most fun that I have had by myself in a completely unexpected way. So for the past 1 week, I was in Hawaii, completely solo, with absolutely no plan. I got to Hawaii outside of an Airbnb and a rental car that I booked ahead of time, and a flight, obviously. I got there, I flew into Kona, the Big Island, and I got a flight for under $400. I think it was $381, if I'm not mistaken. Atlanta, Phoenix to Kona. Layover in Phoenix for like an hour and a half on the way there, and then for about 3 hours on the way back. Not bad at all on American Airlines. I found that flight back in August, and a few months later, we went for it. But I got there Wednesday night, and I went to the store, did exactly what any guy would do with no plan. I bought a New York strip steak, bought some rice, I bought some fruits, sweet potato, some eggs. I cooked the eggs, sunny side up, of course. I cooked my steak, I cut it up into strips, and I dipped it in the egg yolks, and I ate it with my bare hands. And I thought that was a perfect way to start off this trip, because I finished that, cleaned up, went to bed, and I was like, here I am, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I fell asleep. And I woke up the next day, was like, I want to surf. Drove down I was staying up in Hawaii, Hawi. Drove down all the way down to Kona, through Kona to Kahului. That was the town/park area. And I rented a board, went into the ocean, and started surfing literally the next day, which was kind of cool. But from there on, I surfed 5 out of the 7 days. I think I didn't surf on Saturday and Sunday. Maybe I did surf on Sunday briefly. So I surfed 5 or 6 out of the 7 days. And I can say that I've learned a decent amount about surfing, the etiquette, the basics, and how it feels to ride a wave. And I would say it feels as if you're familiar with skiing, it feels as if, at least some of the waves that I caught, you know that feeling when you get first tracks, like there's a zone where there's no tracks on a POW day?
Yeah. Dude, look at that guy. Oh my God. I don't give a shit what you guys are doing. I'm doing that. Oh my God.
Like, that's how it feels. It feels incredible. I don't know what the word is, because when you're snowboarding or skiing, I call it creamy. Like, it feels creamy. It's like, man, like it's a creamy POW day. Like, you're coming. That's how it feels. Like, I don't know how. This was not creamy. It was like smooth, but it's not smooth. But it is. Like, I don't know. I couldn't describe it. Eventually, I'll get my finger on it. But super, super cool experience to surf pretty much however much I wanted to, whenever I wanted to for the past week. I tried to avoid the weekends because I knew there was more locals come out on the weekends, and I didn't want to get in their way, really, because I was like, I don't want to fucking, I don't know what I'm doing kind of half the time. So I was trying to do it when there was less of a crowd. And there were some pretty good swells the first few days, and then it kind of died out, and it wasn't that bad, or they weren't that big at all the second half. Which on the Big Island, one thing I learned is that the Big Island does not get as many swells. It's not as prime of a surfing location compared to the northern sections of Maui and Oahu. I think Kauai gets some good waves too, I would assume, but there's less people on Kauai. So I don't know how. I think Laird Hamilton's from Kauai, so I don't know. He's a great pro surfer, so I'm sure they get great waves out there. I just haven't seen a lot of it. It's not as popular. But all that said, there were some things that I want to dive into, because the trip opened my eyes in a lot of different ways. In a lot of ways, I did not expect it to going in. Because going in, kind of like why I did this in the first place, was because this was my first opportunity to truly do something where I've had opportunities, I guess, but the first one I really truly took, that I can like truly go somewhere so far from anyone that I know and do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want. No one's saying, oh, we have a this at that time, a dinner here, or, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there, or I want to do this, I want to do that. There was none of that. It was whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to go and get a fucking steak, cook it and make it, I'm going to do that. If I wanted to go here, get a poke bowl, get some fresh sushi, I'm going to do that. And that's what I did the last day. I ate, I don't know, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Now, I've eaten alone a lot, cooking for myself back in college sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong. But I don't know how many times I could say that I went to a restaurant and sat down inside alone. That wasn't like a fast food or like kind of a fast casual spot. Like how many times, like, Chipotle, yeah, okay, you go, who cares, eat alone. But when you go to a restaurant, like a sit-down restaurant, eat alone, at a table alone, that was an interesting experience. I'm like, I don't think I've ever done this. Like, I can't remember the last time I did that I felt like, and it just didn't feel awkward. I felt like this is what I should be doing right now. It's like, I'm going to test out a new local spot. I'm going to test out some fresh raw fish. Like, let's go do it. I've never had I don't think I've ever had a true poke bowl. Like, I've had sushi. I've eaten raw fish before, but not a true, like, I wanted, like, these are things I was like, oh man, this is cool. I would like to do it. Like, I'd said that in the past, and now here I am. Let's just do it. This is a great place to do it. So going in, I thought that beyond the freedom piece, I thought this would be a good place that I'd be able to like kind of step back, reflect about like the year, my life, and these different things. And honestly, dude, I'll tell you right now, I've had more in-depth conversations with myself and thoughts and reflections during long training runs or long morning walks in the cold, So it didn't end up being that for whatever reason. I just couldn't. It wasn't like I was trying to. I wasn't like trying to tap into these like deep, no, I just didn't feel like it. I don't know how else to say it. I just didn't feel like that was something that I needed to do at the time. But what I did end up learning and what I did end up finding was that I really have a new appreciation for how much travel opens up your mind in different ways and expands your horizons in some ways. Now it's like cliche. Yeah, I get it. But this past year, I've done more traveling. Some alone, some with friends, family, but I've done more traveling in general. I've been to more places that I've never been, is what I should say. In the U.S. especially, and not especially in the U.S. And then the plan is in the future to open it up and to go to a different country. I really want to go to Japan. I've always wanted to go Thailand at some point. Like, these are places I've always kind of in the back. I want to go, but I've never never done it. I think we're getting closer to like just doing it because like I don't really care. I want to do it. So seeing these different things opens your mind, but it's not like life is different. Like when you go to a place like a tropical island, you kind of think of like the vacation vibes and like this, that. In the towns where the people live, which is kind of my plan, was to kind of like go in and like not assimilate with the locals. Okay, it's like fucking, okay, what are we talking about here? We're not talking about some like crazy thing. It's Hawaii. It's not anything like super crazy, but to see how like life, like true life is. And so I got a membership at a gym. I went to the gym a couple times during the week too, where I would get up, surf, go to the gym, go back to the beach, surf again or whatever on a day. But like I got to experience like that feeling of like, oh, if I lived here, here's what I would do. And what I found was that like the pace, the way of life, it's just different. Like it's a slower pace, but the outlook is brighter. Is that because the sun is shining every day? Maybe. Is that because it's a beautiful ocean? Maybe. I don't know. But it's like the outlook on life and just things in general, little problems, like it's just from overhearing conversations, from talking, like it's just a different approach. But yet the same 24 hours occur. Like the same 24 hours are occurring there as they are here, wherever you are. It's just where you are and your perspective and how you view those 24 hours. I think that completely changes your experience during that time. Really, that's what it is. Not only that, but it's also allowed me to kind of like reset in a sense because, you do a lot of things. And I do like the idea of an end of year kind of trip. If you're living somewhere where it's cold and you like the sun, well, not a bad time to do it during the end of the year into the winter time. Not a bad time at all. I like that approach, but also like, work on a bunch of projects or different things. And it's like a good way to kind of stop, wait up. Let's do something here. Make sure we're aligned with what we were doing, where I want to go, what I want to do. And we come back to that life with a different perspective, which I think is really cool, and maybe a different angle on how you want to approach things going forward, which you sometimes you just don't get because you just don't take the time to step back and do that and think about it. In terms of things I've learned on the Big Island of Hawaii, Big Island is big. Okay. Been to Maui, didn't drive around the entire island of Maui because I don't think you can, the northeast section of it, but it's not that big. Like you can get around, fairly easy throughout the day. The Big Island, like it took me from where I was staying to get to Kona like over an hour. And then if you want to go to Hilo, which is on the east side, like 2 hours, you want to go up to Mauna Kea, which is in the middle of I think it's the biggest volcano on the island or maybe in the world. I don't know. It's based off like the base underneath the surface of the ocean and stuff to like the top. The top is almost 14,000 feet. So, it's pretty freaking big. But like driving up that whole thing, going to Hilo, going here, going I drove pretty much around the whole island. I didn't go on the southern and like south, like from Hilo down to like the southern part. I did not go. Just didn't want to go. There's a green sand beach there. Just didn't feel like doing it. It was too far away from where I was staying. And I was like, I don't really care that much. I got a good sense everywhere else. But pretty much drove the whole island, and I put on over 1,000 miles on the rental car in 1 week. So a lot of driving. But it was good because you get to see a lot of really beautiful driving along the coasts, jungle kind of terrain, volcanic rocks, like through the beautiful, absolutely beautiful mountainside. Cows, cattle, horses. It is like, you want to talk about like owning a farm? Where would you want to own a farm? People talk about, oh yeah, like I love to have a farm or a ranch. Dude, a ranch in Hawaii, not a bad place to be. Let me tell you, with fairly easy access to the ocean, but you can drive up in the mountainside and be in the middle of like your own like mountain oasis almost. It's pretty cool. When the weather's nice, sun is out, it's not a bad place to be, I'll tell you that. I also figured that learned that surfing is such an amazing thing. Like, I don't know whether it's the connection with the ocean. Like, I could sit on a board all day. You need a rash guard, so you need to wear like a shirt because I didn't shred my chest, but I would last like an hour and a half before it started to really hurt. But then you put on a rash guard or like a shirt, and you can stay out there all day long. It's absolutely awesome. And the sun, man, too. Like, I didn't get burnt. I maybe added some shades, but I didn't get burnt because I from my meteorology background, which is where I have a degree, I kind of knew like, let's not go out from the hours of 11 to 1, or if I'm going to be out during those hours, like just be careful. Not that I was saying not go out, but just don't be in the direct sun with no sunscreen or protection on. I don't wear traditional sunscreens. I have like a beef tallow sunscreen. I'm a really weird freak like that. If you're into that stuff, then But like, I don't put any of those chemical sunscreens on my body anymore. So either I go raw or I put the zinc oxide beef tallow sunscreen on, which I did a couple times, and totally fine, didn't burn. Also, I built a decent base tan over the summer, and so I didn't lose all of it. So it wasn't like I was coming from blank, with nothing. But the UV is not as strong in the wintertime. It is much stronger in the summertime, so be careful. And it's, more hazardous for a longer period of time. So you gotta be careful. But that said, sun is like a recharge. It's literally like I feel like a body is like a solar battery. It's like when you go through the wintertime, no wonder people are depressed. No wonder there's seasonal depression. No wonder you're like, oh, I fucking hate the cold. I hate this, cloudy. I lived at Penn State, man, for 4 years. And from October to almost the entire rest of the semester, there were sunny days, don't get me wrong, but it was mostly cloudy, windy, and pretty cold. Like, not terribly cold, but like there are periods where it was, but just cold, like annoyingly cold. It's not terrible, but it's not warm, and it's cloudy. And I'm not surprised why kids are depressed. That's all I'm saying. So the perspective, the shift that I kind of, not the shift, but like, yeah, cost of living maybe more. Gas was $5 and change. I did find a Safeway that had $3.99 gas, by the way, which I was pumping gas one day, or as I was about to go to the airport on the way back, and the downside of the cheap gas, or the cheaper gas, was that you had to hold the pump the entire time, like hold the nozzle the whole time. And so I'm squeezing this thing. I'm like, yo, I'm pretty sure we have a full tank here. Because I probably should be 3-4 gallons. It was like 4.5, 5. I'm like, okay, what's going on? and then it fucking over. Like, I swear, it was like the nightmare that I've had. You know when you're like, when there's no automatic trigger on the gas tank, on the gas nozzle, and you're like, oh, I wonder if it'll, like, when I'm holding it, I wonder if it'll stop, and it always does. And like, oh yeah, we're fine. This time it did not, and it started overflowing. I swear to God. I didn't have it in all the way. I don't know, or was the mount? I don't know. I saw some, like, I got some looks. I was like, holy shit! But whatever, it is what it is. I closed it up. I was like, okay, let's go to the airport. Let's get out of here. And that's what we did. We left. I gave him. Probably I returned the car. Like they'd say, return with a full tank. I probably gave you more than a full tank. I'll tell you that. More than a full tank. So, cool. I shouldn't get an extra charge for that by any means. But outside the cost of living being a little high, it's made up for in just the way of life. It's a slow pace of life. There's less materialistic things outside of maybe a nice surfboard, but not crazy cars, not tons of crazy homes. Yeah, there's the mansions the millionaires and stuff have on the coast. Billionaires have on the coast. Yeah, but most of the neighborhoods pretty, normal. Like normal, except your view is a beautiful ocean, palm trees, it's warm, the sun is out, it's a nice place. Cool to get a different perspective. That was my experience. I would absolutely recommend if you're thinking about doing a solo trip, do it. 100% do it. It was so cool. I discovered new things about myself, how I view things, how I see things in ways I didn't expect. And some people are scared to do it because you're like, oh, you're by yourself. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm okay with that more than the average person, but I don't think there's a reason to be scared. It's cool. Yeah, trips with family, friends are fun, but sometimes you need some time for you, and I think it's a cool thing. And really, honestly, you're going to hear, oh, it's expensive. I don't know, man. It wasn't that bad. $380 flight, $900 for the Airbnb for the week. You could probably get a hostel for less, but then your food, okay, it's different. Maybe $300-$400 in food, $150 in gas. Do the math. I mean, a sub $2,000 trip, I think, if that math works out, or let's just call it $2K for a week, isn't terrible. I mean, you could do it cheaper, but that's not even that bad. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that made some sense. Maybe it resonated with you. If it did, cool. Maybe leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.